Good afternoon. Welcome to 30 Frames a Second. I'm your host, Greg Lassiter. Today, we have a great show for you. We're going to talk about current events, politics, and whatnot. But first, I would like to reach out and say, rest in peace, Hugh Masekela, who was 78, who died. He was a great jazz musician, and I guess you guys would know him by grazing in the grass. So rest in peace, Hugh. May you're gone, but not forgotten. We'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Good afternoon, everybody. Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to say I'm very honored here to be part of this very special, important event. Also, I recognize the Manhattan Borough President. Thank you for being here with us. I'm the chaplain in this neighborhood for almost 12 years. Also, I'm community partner or community representative for CPB, Community Participation with Family. So when I get the invitation, I was very honored because I serve this community, Lower East Side, where I found out our distinguished council member, Ms. Valerina, is also, she was raised in this Lower East Side. So that's why I'm very honored and happy. I will pray that. Oh God, God of humanity, God of justice, peacefulness, equalities, and goodness, we ask at this particular important time of our history of this nation and all over the world to bestow on everybody, in particular our new council member, that the courage and the justice and the ability to serve the community in the best possible way. I don't know Spanish, but I think Rivera means river. And a person as a river should always be source of nourishment for everything around them, without any discrimination. When a river comes, nourish the ground, regardless of what in the ground. And that is when a person acts as a river, I think everything around us will flourish and will be fruitful and will bring happiness, joy, and nutrition to everything around, humans, animals, anything living. So we pray to this particular moment to God to bestow on all of us the quality of life that we serve the community with our capacity. Oh God, Ameen. I will say a few verses from the Holy Quran where we pray every day, we seek for help, sustenance, support from God. So I will say that and include by that as well. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of God, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Oh God, all the praise are due to you. You are the master of this life and day of judgment. We ask you to bestow on us the help, the support we need to be in the righteous way, the straight path of this life and the life after. So, Ihdina, give us the guidance and do not make us among those who got astray because of they are arrogant or ignorant and those who follow their desire in a wicked way. Oh God, Ameen. Thank you again. God bless you all. And God bless our official here. We recognize both of them, Mr. Scott and Manhattan Borough, and also most importantly, our new council member, Karina. Congratulations and God bless you and bless you all. Thank you.
I, Carolina Rivera, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. The Constitution of the State of New York. The Constitution of the State of New York. The Charter of the City of New York. The Charter of the City of New York. And that I will faithfully discharge. And that I will faithfully discharge. The duties of the office of. The duties of the office of. Member of the New York City Council for the 2nd District. Member of New York City Council for the 2nd Council District. I according to the best of my ability. According to the best of my ability.
Welcome back to 30 Frames, and as I said, I'm your host, Greg Lassiter, here with the creator of himself, Nat Wood. Nat,
Hey,
we're
brother.
back, baby. We're
Yes,
back.
we're back. We're back.
Nat, check this out. The government reopened,
Yes, yes, yes.
but what's ironic about the government closing down is that in 2013, when the government closed down for like a week, I think it was, a week or
Right,
two,
right.
under the Obama administration,
Right.
they interviewed 45, and he just said, you know what, it's nobody's fault.
Yes, it was. The Republicans did that on purpose.
Right, but he said it was nobody's fault, but the president.
He's a class act. In point of fact, the Republican Party, and I'm surprised at the Democrats for not understanding the hand they were dealt, and playing that hand a lot better than they had, because the Republican Party had chip in their hands. They had the Children's Health Care program. That's a program that for those, and it's roughly 9 million of those, and they're U.S. citizens. And it's designed for people who make too much money to get Medicaid.
Right, but not enough money to afford health insurance.
Right. I think Chip 1 starts around $86,000 a year.
Right.
Which shows you how expensive health care really is if you're making $86,000 and you can't afford to go to the damn doctor.
Right.
That shows you how exorbitant health care is in the United States of America, and how desperately we do need universal health care.
I agree with you, because everybody else in the world has universal health care.
Correct.
And it's working.
Correct.
But moreover than that, Mitch McConnell, like Donald Trump, is a liar. They said, okay, yes, I understand CHIP was something that we had to what the Democrats had to cave on.
Right.
But at the same time, Mitch McConnell has lied so many times before. Like, he says, okay, you know what? You guys pass this bill, pass this HR, and I promise you that we will deal and vote on DACA.
And why?
Right.
Why? The Republicans don't want to have a clean DACA bill.
No, they don't.
They do not want to protect dreamers.
Nope.
Their base is not fond of the Defensive Children's Act as it relates to young people who came to this country as children, and this is basically the only life I know, which is roughly 800,000 people, somewhere between 700 and a million people.
But the 800, they did not commit a crime. It was the parents.
That is correct.
The parents committed a crime.
That is
so
correct.
Why hold the children? They don't know any other country but the United States.
Because their agenda is basically an agenda of white supremacy, hatred, and religious tyranny.
That's good.
So everyone who does not fall into the category of whites has a target on them.
Right, that's correct.
The DACA children, the Dreamers, have a target on them. Gays have a target on them. Immigrants have a target on them. Blacks have
Always had a target on us.
They
Right?
got their target in Africa.
Right. But you know what, Nat? But you know what I'm disturbed about? See, America's still caught up on this immigration issue, which, as America sees it, it pertains to Mexico or those South American countries. What happened to? It is obvious. No one, the news don't talk about Russia, the Russian women who get pregnant in Russia, come to America, Miami, have their kid, so the kids are American, go back to Russia, so the kids, when they turn a certain age, can sponsor them to come back. That's illegal. No one's talking about that. No one's talking about how many Europeans come over here, overstay, or come over here as nannies and don't go back. There's just as many Europeans that are over here that are illegal as there are Mexicans, but nobody's talking about it.
Because you're talking about immigration. This has nothing to do with immigration. Trump himself said it. We need people from Norway. We don't need people from shithole countries.
We need white people.
He said it. Well, that's basically exactly what it is. Mexicans, Puerto Ricans, that's why they didn't really give a rat's ass. But anything black or brown, especially if it speaks Spanish but is not a Spaniard or a Portuguese white European, has a target on them. It has absolutely nothing to do with immigration. Everybody knows that America needs immigrants. First of all, America is an old country. The population of America is an aging population. We need young people. We need young people who are willing to learn and bring themselves up into the 21st century. That's another thing. Trump is using an army that is not just white and poor, but who are lacking the skills required to compete in the 21st century. And a lot of those dreamers are acquiring those skills, and it's not that they're taking white folks' jobs. They don't want to work in the damn coal mine. But they are poised to become part and parcel to the very fabric of America, and that scares white supremacists.
See, the Republicans. See, I know what they were thinking. When Donald Trump got into office, he was such a buffoon that they could control him and have him do what they want him to do. He fooled them. He fooled them.
He's doing a lot of stuff that they want done.
But you know what?
He just says dumb things. If it was a question of some of the stuff he did, some of the stuff he does, they want done. A lot of the stuff he talks about, they want done. But he tweets, and he's an idiot.
But see, they can't control that.
They can't control that.
And I think it's backfiring on them, because here's the thing. Now, in order to see, impeachment doesn't mean anything in America. Because they impeached Bill Clinton, he still stayed in the office. All right. When we talk about the 25th Amendment, all it takes, it doesn't take Congress to do that. It takes his cabinet to say, to actually implement the 25th Amendment. If his cabinet is a bunch of buffoons too. They don't like him. So why won't somebody come forward and actually make the 25th, somebody put it on the table?
Because they could not implement the stuff he does. See, Donald Trump is, I think Stalin first coined the phrase. Donald Trump is what's referred to as a useful idiot.
That's good. That's right. That's correct.
Somebody with a hint of brains might have the ideology, but they wouldn't be as useful because they couldn't get this stuff done.
But what is getting done, though? What is getting? I mean, in place of the judges. Okay, the federal judges.
The judges.
But the judges are idiots.
Removing all the regulations from corporations that allows huge corporations to literally do the same thing that they did before 10 times over, targeting Mexicans and blacks and a lot of racist stuff, targeting homosexuals, talking about transgenders in the military, all of this stuff that they wanted to implement, but they never had the juice or the army of inbreds that Trump has at his disposal. Talking about closing down sacred burial grounds of indigenous people, running oil mines,
up in South
polluting with total disregard of whose water you pollute. All of these things is what they wanted to do desperately, but could never do on their own because America, for the most part, is against all of those things. By a level of 60, 70, sometimes 80 or 90 to 1.
But here's the thing, too. It's going to come down. This is into his second year. And Russia is still following him.
Right.
Mueller, I personally think, you heard it here first. I personally think this is going to happen. Donald Trump doesn't care about anybody. Not even his kids.
Well, he cares about Donald Trump.
That's what I'm saying. Donald Trump himself.
He cares about somebody.
Himself.
Himself.
His kids, they're going to get Donald Jr.
Right.
Then they're going to come after him. This is my prediction. You either resign or I indict you. But see, here's the thing.
I don't think he's bright enough to realize the danger he's in.
But that's narcissistic.
I think he thinks he's omnipotent.
But my thing is, I think this is going to happen. But the problem I have with that, it needs to happen sooner than later. So the things that he's implemented can be turned around again. He's talking about Wall Street. How Wall Street has. That's because he deregulated everything in Wall Street, which was the downfall of our banks.
Well, Obama opened up. First of all, Obama actually saved
us.
the global economic system. Global economic system. Although I got to give some credit to Bush, who was such a knucklehead that they were throwing shoes at him. But he did make the move initially to bail out the banks, which had to be done because they literally lost everybody's money on the entire planet.
Right, which means if we fail, the world falls.
And yes. Because you're talking about every bank, every financial institution, and every insurance company. You're talking about every corporation. You're talking about money being worth absolutely nothing to anybody. Yes, you are talking about total destruction, total devastation of the economic system of the planet.
And the scary part of it is, even doing that, even Obama saving our bank, there were some casualties of war. Countries.
Yeah.
Greece.
Yeah.
Iceland.
Right.
If he didn't come in at the right time, a lot more countries would have fallen.
But they didn't. That's because they were stupid. First, you're talking about like.
Iceland's a nice country, though. I love Iceland.
They're idiots, and they can't help themselves.
I love Iceland, though, man.
It's the hubris that comes from being whiter than a snow bunny.
Right. You know, get any whiter than that. Maybe Finland, Denmark, right.
But there's a certain amount of hubris involved in Iceland's total destruction and Greece, their destruction. And the hubris is that they believe that they could institute some sort of actions, some tough actions to bring it in place, as opposed to bailing out their system, and their system totally collapsed. They would not make the hard choice that America made. Europe actually
Brexit.
Europe tried to go with what do they call it? When they fire everybody instead of bailing out the institutions.
Brexit? You talking about Brexit?
No.
Layoff?
I forget what it's called. But they figured that they could save their economy their individual economies.
But couldn't.
But they couldn't.
They couldn't.
But they couldn't.
They couldn't. And
And
it's
the only
sad.
one who had any money, and I hate to say it, but the only one who had any money was Germany, and,
Right.
and Germany was holding all of them together.
Right. But see, here's the thing, though. If they don't do something about control Trump, our economy, he's quick to say, and people buy into the hype, our economy is better off than it has been in a long time. It's not.
It's not.
It's not. People still are in the same place. They don't have jobs. It might be worse since the health insurance, since Obamacare.
They are worse.
So, but people, why are these ignorant people buying into it? It's just common
I think you
sense.
kind of answered your own
I know.
question.
But it's just common sense. You look at yourself where you were a year ago or 2 years ago. Are you financially better off because of this president?
And looking to where you are now is no trick.
Right.
You don't need vision.
You don't need glasses. It's not.
Like we said before, study the past. The only thing you can study is the past.
Right.
You have to have a vision of the future.
Right.
And that's what the tax bill is about. The fact of the matter is that they are relying on the fact that people are so myopic that they only see this moment, that if you give them $5 right now,
that's all they're going to see. That's it.
all they see. All they see is when Spectrum gives you your package and you get HBO for 6 months.
For a year. And then it doubles the next year.
And then
nobody's seeing the foresight.
You're like, why is my cable bill $250?
Right.
Last month it was like $36.
Right.
Now it's like $250.
But wait, isn't this what happened with the housing, with the mortgage?
Yes.
Okay,
always.
That's exactly the same way.
That's exactly
my mortgage this year. My mortgage for 1 year was $200.
Was nothing.
Right, but year two, year two, your mortgage went to $3,000.
Right.
People, this is what I'm telling you.
With no end in sight, because
you make 30 grand a year.
Those same sophisticated money people from hedge funds, those young greedy ass Turks was selling debt like it was bags of crack, like it was crack, selling from one to the other. So the debt increased exponentially.
But hold on.
This month
you're buying, but you know what? No,
the next month you owed 60.
The Turks are selling it like it's crack.
Right.
And they said, "Oh, this is good."
Right.
But nobody looked in the bag.
That's
nobody looked in the bag.
Donald Trump said it. He said it point blank. He said the undereducated.
Right.
I love the undereducated.
He said that in 1973, dude. 83, yep.
Right. But it's not the undereducated that he's manipulating.
Right.
It's the stupid.
Yep.
You can not be formally educated and not be stupid.
Right.
My grandmother was not formally educated, but she was not stupid. She was the smartest person I've ever known. You couldn't come to her with some BS because she could see where you were coming from and see your plan.
Right.
These people are totally dedicated to this nonsense.
Right.
And cannot look past the fact that this guy is souping you up.
Right.
He's going to give you $5, but it's going to cost you everything you got in just a year or so.
But here's the thing too. Why can't people just? Do you know what? Before, when we read our news,
right,
and under any other presidency that I can remember, there never was a column of fact check.
No.
Now there's a column under fact check.
Right.
Now, Donald Trump is known. He's a liar.
Right.
He's a liar. He's narcissistic. He's just an idiot.
Right.
So why would you even believe even a stupid person? Well, you know what? You've lied before. You didn't come through. You've always telling lies. Why am I going to believe that my life is going to be any different under this tax issue? The new tax reform.
It's not just taxes. It's everything, little by little by little. The reason we opened up with Carlina Rivera actually at her inaugural ceremony,
Right.
they actually like their swearing in ceremony. They swear them in beforehand, but then,
Right, then there's a whole
most of them
ceremony.
have a ceremony, and a lot of politicians showed up. Tish James, they actually swore her in the day after the big women's march.
Right.
And it represented a lot of things. If I had showed you more, you'd have seen a lot of women and kids. And she had like not just an imam, but a rabbi. She had a couple of Christian ministers. She took the place of Rosie Mendez, who was like.
Wasn't she
a lesbian,
lesbian
city council member, who replaced a lesbian city council member in Margarita Lopez.
Right.
So when you talk about immigrant population, when you talk about lesbian population, when you talk about women in positions of power, as hoity-toity as the East Village is, it is very, very diverse in its thinking and trying to create opportunities.
Right.
And now you have, when you talk about the Republican Party, you're talking about an attack on everything. We talked about dreamers. We talked about, but there's also an attack on the Muslim population.
Right.
There's also an attack on things that women had been comfortable with their health care. Not simply abortion, but birth control.
Right.
They want
equality, pay equality.
When I talked about religious tyranny, when you plead it's against my religion to include things that you don't agree with, you say you don't agree with, like birth control.
Right.
And you won't include that in the health care package, and you have the federal government trying to get rid of that altogether. When you when you have them trying to completely defund what's the organization?
Planned Parenthood.
Planned Parenthood.
Right.
When you want to completely defund Planned Parenthood, that not only supplies birth control, but also does a whole lot of tests that are specific to women, and women are comfortable with, because these are women's organizations dealing with women. When you want to defund that completely, you have a problem with a lot of people. When you take children's health care and use that to blackmail, literally blackmail
that's exactly what it is.
The Democrats who want to include a clean DACA bill. You say if you put this in, we are going to take away health care for 9 million children. Well, that's blackmail and extortion. And the Democrats should have been better at seeing that coming,
but see, that's
and
the thing,
conveying that message.
Not only that, we got the midterms coming up in 2020.
Yeah.
Now, my question is too, this is what we're saying. This affects you, poor people.
Right.
This affects you. The Republicans are saying, if you don't sign this, you're going to lose. You're going to lose this, this, and this. Now, you Donald Trump supporters who are poor, that affects you. So how can you sit there and support a person that is obvious? Like, you know what? You can say, oh yeah, I'm with him on build the wall. Who cares about the wall? Your kids' health care is more important. So the thinking is asinine.
Well, the wall is not about security. The wall is about white supremacy, and
control,
and outward visible sign that Mexicans ain't welcome around here. Even though most of the states that y'all talking about the wall in was
Republican.
Not just Republican. They used to be Mexico,
Texas, Texas, Arizona,
Arizona and Texas,
part of California.
Also, we had like 5 Democrats who had won in red states that had to side against Democrats in terms of signing the keeping the government open for Indiana, West Virginia. The boy Doug Jones just won Alabama.
Right.
So they're in like redneck states. So they had to sign with the Republicans, otherwise they'd be out by next year.
Yeah, but you know what? But another thing with the Me Too women's movement, they have to do more. They can't stop.
Well, women are very active right now. The immigrant community is very active right now, but I expect them to take a vicious hit because they've only been kicked. It's only been kicked down the curb till March 5th.
Right.
And without any cards, without the Democrats holding any cards, I don't see how they can come out of this in a way that
the government's going to shut down again.
They're not going to shut down the government.
But think about this.
They blinked.
But yeah, they did blink. But they only have enough money till February 18th.
Right.
Then the government has to.
The Democrats will bend the knee.
That is insane.
They will bend the knee.
Because why the Democrats can't see this? The Republicans don't care.
And that's what makes them dangerous. They have nothing to lose. They are betting with everybody else's money.
So why don't the Democrats do it?
Because the Democrats are not used to being at the damn table, at the poker table.
But
they're used to having the numbers. They're used to like being set in their way. In a lot of ways, the Democrats suffer from more hubris than the Republicans.
Right.
Because they're comfortable. There's nothing more comfortable than a middle class existence. The middle
But that's
class
ignorant, though.
But the middle class is the only class that really is not up for the grind.
But that's a false sense of security.
To the poor, there's nothing but the grind.
Right.
And to the rich, there's nothing but getting richer, so there's nothing but the grind. To the middle class, they just want to go to work
But
and
that's
make
a
enough
false
money
sense of
and come
security,
home
though.
and eat chicken.
But that's that's a false sense of security. Think about it.
It is a false insecurity because the middle class probably have the most socialist mentality.
It's crazy.
In the most capitalist environment that's ever existed. So
But that's dangerous.
That is dangerous.
That's dangerous.
That is
That's
dangerous.
dangerous.
They're the only ones you can eliminate.
But they
the
don't.
poor are already poor.
The poor
What
is
you gonna
poor,
do
right?
to the poor?
But then that's
and
why
the rich are going to get richer.
Then that's what I don't
have
understand.
To cut the numbers of the middle.
But that's what I don't understand. Why can't the middle class? They got a big stake in this race.
That is correct.
So you don't have
is
that.
correct.
You don't have that
is
luxury
correct. That
to
is
sit
correct.
back
That
and
is
coast.
correct. That is correct.
Because
That is-
like you
why
said,
did 53% of white women vote for Donald Trump?
because they're ignorant.
Because they're comfortable.
But
Because they're comfortable. Because
he did this. It's in this hand, but it's really in this hand. He did the okey doke. But they knew he did the okey doke. They knew he wasn't about anything. So if I'm looking at it, if you knew he wasn't a great businessman,
No.
he inherited business. He didn't have any politics. He wasn't going to shake things up. You knew he was a racist. So what was it? It was because I don't want a black man or a black person.
Well, they already had a black man. They had him
But they
for a
were
whole
better
bunch of
off.
time.
The middle class were better off with
See,
that.
We talked about this before: confirmation bias or confirmatory bias. You comfort yourself with lying to yourself, and then you find ways to reinforce the lie that you've become comfortable with.
You believe your own hype.
You believe your own hype.
Right.
You know. And there was they told themselves over and over again. Some of them told themselves that I'm gonna vote for this guy because I know he's not gonna win, but I don't like Hillary. Some of them told themselves that.
But hold on now.
More of them told themselves that this is just a campaign act, and when he's actually the president, he will be someone different other than the person he's been for 70 damn years.
But being a president only reveals who you really are.
And you can't un-70
And you
years.
can't, no. But here's the thing,
Whatever
too.
you are
That's
for
what you
70
are.
years,
That's what you are.
It's kind of hard to be something
But see, what I
different
don't
in year
understand, then
71.
explain this to me. going into this, they knew he was a narcissist,
Right.
misogynist,
Right.
didn't respect women.
Right.
So why would you vote? Why would a woman? That's just like I ask black people. You knew he was a racist. Why would you vote for a racist?
Black people didn't vote that much for him. There was more of them. There was more of them that voted for him. But they didn't come out in like any great percentage for Donald Trump.
But it doesn't matter. He shouldn't have voted. Black people shouldn't have voted for him anyway.
That is true. But there's a lot of black people that don't really like affiliating themselves with other black people. You know. And some of them is poor and raggedy. But they think that they are somehow more special than other black people, especially the black people that they're used to seeing.
But the women.
The rent is too damn high.
Don't get me started on Mr. Don't get me started on that. Okay.
We're going to try, but I no promises. So I'm not even going to say. But there are black people who believe that their bread is best buttered by acquiescing to white supremacy, even more than just acquiescing to it, embracing it and trying to get in where they think they fit
That's
in.
That's the Willie Lynch syndrome kind of crap.
Stupid, because you never really fit in.
You don't fit in.
Never really
because
fit
you're
in.
always going to be,
You
you're
know.
different.
Yeah.
That means you're not fitting in.
That's why black politicians always go into jail, because they start thinking they're white. That was the thing with Charlie Rangel and
Right.
whatnot.
You know-
he was just living high up on the hog. And
You know how I feel about that.
They took his picture in the Dominican
Yeah.
Republic with his big old
Yep.
fat feet and plastered that thing on the front page of the Daily News. And the next thing you know, he's in the halls of Congress. Oh, I'm sorry, master.
Seriously.
I couldn't believe he did. I'm like,
But my
you ain't
thing is,
got
though,
no
but you know what?
pride or nothing.
But what got me with Charlie Rangel, because I'm not a Charlie Rangel fan. I've been
And
preaching that.
I'm talking about. I'm not talking about Charlie
Rangel himself,
I'm
but it's the
talking
attitude.
about
The attitude,
the whole thing. Jesse Jackson Jr.
Right,
and
right.
all of them. They get comfortable.
Thinking that the system has embraced him.
Because first of all, when you're a politician, on any level,
Right.
even the local level, even on the city council
Right.
level, especially on the city council level, a lot of contracts go through your
Yep,
desk
yep.
that cannot get okayed without your approval.
Right.
And which means that a lot of big corporations come in and
They
they
woo
whine
you.
in you,
They
and
whine
they
and woo.
dine in you.
Yeah, and 69.
And you need, right.
And then when
and
you
the
don't
money
work-
look good, and you need the money to get
Right.
reelected, and you need the friendship to get reelected.
But hold on.
And,
But when you
start
don't
thinking
play,
you down,
But
right,
when you don't
right.
play, you know what? All it is you're
Right.
you're only as good as you were the day before.
It's a minefield that you got to dance through, but you got to be mindful that you ain't really part of this club. And if somebody got to fall on the sword, if
you're gonna do
catch
it.
a dagger,
You're gonna do it. It's you.
Right. It's raining daggers, and somebody got to catch one.
But you know what? It's scary because we get caught up
Right.
just that much,
Right.
that small of
Right.
getting caught up because we start out being humble.
Right.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do good. I'm gonna do good, and then this developer on the local level comes in. And it's like, you know what? Let me take you out to dinner. You're not even getting any money.
You're not. They put Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson Jr. went to jail for damn fur coats.
and a watch.
And
a watch.
Negroes ain't wanted. Negroes didn't even want fur coats since 1972. You know, a fur coat. Super fly.
But that's what killed him. He's so.
We got some shoes with some goldfish in it.
But see, the thing of it is, it was the lobbyists who played him.
He wanted to fit in. He wanted.
And I know Jesse Jackson Jr., so-
he's an idiot.
He's a total idiot.
I mean, first of all, your name is Jesse damn Jackson. You could have sold your name and got. You didn't even need that
You didn't have to play the game.
job.
You didn't have to play the game.
Right. Look at Martin Luther King's chubby cheek children. Even the damn nephews is cashing in off his
But the
name.
thing of it is, and not getting caught up in the dumbness of it.
Right.
And
That's what Trump said. Hell, I can't. I'll grab a damn nephew and have him
Right.
stand next to me.
But see, that's the thing, though.
You can't cash in on the name Jesse Jackson.
But that's what I'm saying.
Without going to jail for
That's why
for
we
fur
always
coats?
talk about leaving a legacy. You don't have to sell your soul when when you have a legacy. Like you said, Jesse Jackson, he didn't have to do anything. He sold himself like a $2 prostitute.
Politicians, people in position, especially people of color, I implore you, go back to the words of Adam Clayton Powell Jr. when he asked, "What's in your hand?"
Yep.
The problem with us collectively is we don't use what's in our hand.
Right.
We drop our bone looking in the water trying to get the damn reflection of the bone from the reflection of
Why
our
is
own
that,
self.
Nat? Why is that?
Because the thought of money made me steal.
That's crazy, though.
Not
Nat,
even
come on.
money, just the thought of money.
But that's
Because
crazy, though.
Also,
But you don't think you ever get caught?
Also, and I'm finding this out more and more because I'm finding this out on the internet because there's a lot of black folks who just like cuss each other out all over the internet.
Oh, that's crazy.
But there is a phenomenon, and it's evident on the internet and social media. It's more evident because of social media than it ever was. Dudes just get all moist in the drawers when they see themselves getting likes.
Why?
Because we just thugs that need a hug. All we really want is white folks to love us.
No,
we
but
we want that more than money, than security, than the health of our children. We want love. I mean, we are wounded.
But that comes from within, Nat.
Yes,
you know what? That comes from within where you need to love yourself first before you know. You know what? Like they said, well, a couple things. You know what? All of that is you getting these likes and loves and want a hug. That's not real.
You need to see yourself.
See yourself, right?
Through your own lens, as opposed to trying to see yourself through the reflection of someone who does not hold you in great esteem,
or doesn't even respect you, or doesn't care about you.
Right. Case in point, women, black women. Black women.
I'm glad you brought that up. That segues to my next question.
But this thing with the hair has driven them crazy. Since white folks told them that they didn't like their hair, they don't know what to do with it. They got rings. But now, it's all from seeing yourself. And most of them will never get within this far of a white person.
But let me cut you off on that one.
Why are you trying to make yourself so pleasing to someone
I'm glad you brought that up.
who is not your man, who is not your children, not your daughters, not your sons, who will never see you the way he sees
Becky.
Heather, the Scandinavian girl.
Becky, right. But my question is to you,
and that's
black
not
women.
how you should.
Black women, I just got a question.
Yourself.
This is a very honest question. A lot of you don't interact with the white culture, for whatever reason. Some, I can honestly say, despise the white culture. But why are you running around with the blonde hair? I don't understand that. If you don't want to be white, why your hair wasn't born blonde? Why are you running around with blonde wigs on?
See, my salvation was light skin hair, all that stuff. It never really meant as much to me as it seems to me mean to a lot of people who have been totally Willie lynched. My basic thing has always been the fact that deep down I am a nerdy artist guy who was always so self-absorbed in trying to do what he was doing that I never really had time to worry about what white folks thought or did not thought, or whether
cared.
Right. First of all, I was born and raised in Harlem. There weren't too many white folks around anyway. So
except for junkies.
And when I went to school went to school with white folks, they didn't seem any smarter than anybody else. So I never really like.
You weren't comparing yourself to anybody.
I wasn't comparing myself.
Same way.
As a matter of fact, the smartest people, if you want to know the truth, the smartest people that I had ever met was a couple of black guys who got like a couple of. I didn't leave you that many points academically, but I knew some people who was always like averaging 98, 99.
Right.
And a couple of those people were black women.
Right.
So I never saw color or even economics as a determining factor as to who was smart, who was not.
Right.
I was attracted to people with talent.
Right.
Whatever
And
package
smarts.
that. Right. I mean, Stephen Hawkins is. I mean, he's in a wheelchair. He has motor neuron disease. He's not, the most attractive guy.
Right. But my question to you is
he stayed married to one chick for 30 years and another chick who he was cheating with on his wife for another 11 years and had 3 kids because he's a genius, not because he's a cutie pie.
Right.
So I never really thought of anything in those terms. So what white folks got or did not have never really factored in because I was too busy writing lyrics.
Right. Well, see, that's the same thing with me, Nat. Growing up, I was too busy making my own path.
Right.
I wanted to control. Thank God. I control my own infrastructure, and that's why I teach people. I don't have to rely on anybody if you control your own infrastructure. I don't care what people think about me. You can call me what I think about me, good or bad. I'm still on your mind. But let's get back to black women. This Me Too movement was discovered by was a black woman. But when you look,
couldn't tell it now.
No, but that's exactly right. Because when you look at the masses over the weekend, Chicago, LA, New York, DC, you saw very few black women of color.
See, I'm gonna tell you again, and that has to do with trying to fit in a place you will never fit in, as opposed to. We have an expression: "Scared money don't make money."
Right. All money ain't good money.
Right. You can't chase money. You have to get money to chase you.
Right.
And the only way you can get money to chase you is by how you perform.
Right.
If you think that you can just smooth your way into a position, well, if the only position you want is royal butt kisser, then you might be able to get that position until somebody kisses more butt than you.
Right. But the thing is, you can get there.
Right.
You got to stay there.
And you have to acquire 21st century skills.
Right.
In a lot of ways, the African American, and I'm talking about the African American, more than other Africans in the diaspora, are in a position, if they take advantage of what they have in their hand, and concentrate on elevating their young people to be competitive and using the awesome talent that everybody knows. Everybody loves your music but you. Everybody loves your culture but you. Everybody loves your art but you. Everybody loves your literature but you.
Why
everybody loves you but you, because you see yourself through someone else's eyes and everybody else just sees you.
Right. That's crazy though. That's another slave mentality.
Correct.
I mean, this is the 21st century.
Correct.
We should more than anything, the way life is now, it was much more than what we had growing up. We didn't have computers. I didn't have a computer.
I didn't either. As a matter of fact, my beef with the world never had to do with they won't give me a job.
Right,
My
right.
beef with the world was they won't give me an opportunity
Right,
to get some stuff.
Right,
so
right,
I can
right.
savage the competition.
Right.
As soon as I got some stuff,
I'm crushing them.
I'm gonna crush them all.
That's exactly
I'm gonna
right.
pay 'em back
Because
for
you know what?
everything.
That's the whole mentality I had. I don't care about a job. I
Right,
never wanted a
right,
job.
right.
I
I
just
wanted
needed
weapons.
I needed the opportunity. So
Right.
instead of
Right.
getting a job,
Right.
instead of getting a paycheck,
Correct.
I was going to be the guy who signed the paychecks.
Correct.
That's always been like that.
No, I was mad because all these piss ass poop butt scrubs had all the computers and they were talking stuff to me and I was too broke to get one. As soon as I was able to get the stuff, I didn't hear any more noise from that section because it was never ever, it was always going to be a wrap.
Right.
If we get our young people to understand their potential,
right,
it's not enough to know that you came from kings.
Right.
It's you need to know what your potential is. But you have unlimited potential, and then have access to the tools.
But here's the thing, though, Nat.
To make your dreams come true.
I'm gonna make it simple. People, you have kids, just encourage your kids.
And
you have access.
Not only encourage them,
you
but
have
stop
access.
holding them back.
Yeah, you have access.
A lot of us spend more time making excuses and holding our children back.
Why is that, Nat? You think because they're jealous?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Well, it's an insane vibe. It's an insane vibe, and it comes from a place where most people don't want to admit it to themselves, so it goes untreated. Wow. Because
That's a cancer.
in order to treat something, you have to admit you have it.
Right.
You know,
you have to diagnose it.
Right. In order for you to stop using drugs, you got to admit, I said
A lot of people don't want to admit that.
And they don't want to admit that. Especially, like I said, drugs don't become a problem until you run out of money. And then it's, I'm a dope fiend.
You're a dope fiend when you can't get it.
Correct. That's when you're a dope fiend. That's when you're a dope fiend. As long as you got plenty of money, you know.
Hey, look, you having fun.
What's that boy? Charlie, who was on Two Men and
Charlie Sheen.
Charlie Sheen.
Oh, right. He was living La Vida Loca.
He had two hands, one hand full of money, another hand full of dope.
And in the middle, a chick standing in front of him.
Right.
Now look
Drawers full of eggs. You don't care. Come here, baby. I got money. I got drugs.
Right.
You know,
making $1 million an episode.
Correct. He didn't realize how screwed up his life was until reality had to set in. He was persona non grata in Hollywood, and chicks started suing him
because he had HIV.
Because of the HIV thing.
Wow.
Well, before then it was reckless abandon.
Right. Didn't care.
You know.
I'm a white man. I own the world.
What's his face from the that inspired the Me Too movement? The Hollywood producer.
Wait.
Big Jewish guy.
Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein. As long as no one challenged him, because everyone knew, the men in Hollywood knew, the women in Hollywood knew, everybody knew. Movie stars.
Director's couch, baby.
Everybody knew.
Right.
And, as long as he was unchallenged, it wasn't a problem. It was business as usual.
Right.
It wasn't until the world caved in on him and everybody started piling on that it was like, I don't know what is wrong with me. I need some therapy. I'm so sorry of all the people I hurt. Lord have mercy.
Too late. Too late
what
when
have I done? Anybody I've hurt? Oh my God. I found Jesus. I know I'm a Jew, but I found Jesus.
And I didn't know he was lost.
Right.
That is insane, man.
But that's the way it is.
But you know what?
That's the reality.
But guys, listen. This whole Trump thing, if you middle class people think you're screwed, wait till this dude next year.
Oh yeah. When
you're gonna see, when he said, "Oh, you're gonna see more money in your paychecks."
Yeah. If you think you're lonely now, wait.
Hey, look, Bobby ain't saying it better. Nobody can say it better.
Wait till tonight.
I'm telling you, because don't fall for the okie doke.
Right. And a lot of them have fallen.
But
There's going to be a heavy casualty list. The Dreamers, they're going to cut their ranks, but those kids.
But these are legitimate. They're legitimate.
They're gonna savage their ranks, but you're not gonna stop them from coming because those are kids. The kids you're talking about are kids. Carlina Rivera. She's not a dreamer because she's Puerto Rican, but her mom's came from Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Worked as a single parent.
But the Dreamers are not just Mexicans or Spanish people.
But what I'm saying is, the immigrants that you are targeting are immigrants who are overachievers. You might be able to cut their ranks a little bit,
but not totally.
But you're not gonna stop them because they are overachievers in the 21st century. I would advise everybody to be on notice that you have on your shores overachievers looking for opportunity.
But wait, that's what I was just going to say.
You got to make damn sure that your children are competitive.
But here's the thing, though. This is where it's going to come back and haunt America because just say they send half of them back to these. All these people are educated.
Correct.
They're going to take these underdeveloped countries and do what? Develop them.
Correct.
So you know what? It's a win-win. We got a few minutes, but I want to talk about this really quick. Nat Wood, the great creator of 30 Frames, we are branching out. Starting in the next few months, we'll be on Brick TV. We'll be in Brooklyn. So now we're in Brooklyn,
the Bronx,
Manhattan, the Bronx.
We got New York.
And we got New York. And we got the world because guess what? I've seen a lot of our viewers watches online live.
I'm very encouraged by everything that's going on. I expect 2018 will be a banner year. The People's Film Festival is going to
growing exponentially
and take off. Sheila got the gospel thing on lockdown.
Veronica,
that's going to take off as we open doors. And I will say this. I will say this, and we're running out of time, so I'm gonna say this quick so you can get in your shtick. We are probably one of the few shows that a lot of people, young people, gravitate toward this show so that they can learn from. A lot of other shows, they can't make that claim because they are not community-based shows that get out in the community
and they're not doing anything.
Will work with anybody. But go on, you got 30 seconds.
You know what? I want to say this, guys. You know what? We'll be back next week. But like I always say, shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you're still among the stars, baby. I'm Greg Lassiter for 30 Frames, but you got the last word since it's your show.
The last word is bye. And yes, I plan on being around next year.
He's mentally stable. So, you know what? He's more mentally stable. There's nothing, he's not depressed. So
I'm a stable genius.
I said he's mentally stable.
Peace,
I didn't say he was a genius. I will see you guys next week.
Education is the key to success. It provides an opportunity for all children to learn and grow into productive citizens. We knew District 2 would be in good hands when Carlina Rivera announced she was planning to campaign for that council seat. Children learn in many ways. Carlina Rivera continues to support schools, but also programs like the Girls Club, where girls can blossom. The Girls Club, Lower East Side, is a safe space full of inspiration for girls. And no parent or their